Naima, don't walk away from me. She didn't look back. Not this time. She looked back too many times before. Every drop of rain felt like punishment. Every shadow reminded her the lies she'd ignored, the danger she'd excused because she loved him, because she believed the version of him that only existed when people were watching. But the truth? Behind closed doors, her world had been shrinking, piece by piece, until she didn't recognize her reflection anymore. They say when you have everything, you stop noticing what really matters. But for Naima Ellery, the woman who owned 3 companies, 6 cars, and the city skyline, the night she lost everything didn't come with an announcement. It came with thunder, and the sound of her own heartbeat, running, breaking, and begging for mercy. Naima's heels sank into the wet asphalt as she stumbled down a deserted street. Her silk blouse, once white, clung to her like a second skin, tore at the shoulder, blood faintly streaking down her arm. Her phone was gone, her purse too, and behind her, somewhere in the darkness, was the echo of the man she once thought she loved, screaming her name. Naima had built empires, but she couldn't build safety. She had power, but not peace. And tonight, her wealth couldn't save her from him or from the storm. Her ankle twisted as she tried to cross the road. Pain shot up her leg, sharp and cruel. She gasped, fell, her hands scraping the pavement. Her body refused to move. Tears mixed with rain as she whispered, not to anyone in particular, maybe not even to God. "Don't hurt me. I can't walk." Headlights cut through the darkness. For a moment, she flinched, terrified that it was him. But instead, a deep voice broke through the rain. Hey, are you okay?" A man jumped out of a rusty pickup truck. He was drenched before he even reached her, his shirt plastered to his chest, his expression filled with worry, not recognition. He knelt beside her, cautious but kind. "Hey, don't move, you're bleeding. I'll help you up, okay?" Naima wanted to push him away. She'd learned not to trust easily. But his hands were steady, warm. Not the hands of the man who wanted power, just the hands of someone trying to help. He lifted her gently, his jacket wrapping around her shoulders like safety itself. Inside the truck, the warmth hit her like a memory she hadn't felt in years. It smelled faintly of coffee, oil, and crayons. She looked around. A small pink backpack lay on the seat, a child's drawing pinned to the dashboard, stick figures holding hands under a sun. A tiny scrawl read, "Me, Daddy, and Mommy in heaven." Her eyes flicked to him. The man driving, calm, focused, couldn't have been older than his early 30s. Black, broad-shouldered, with tired eyes that had seen too much, and still chose kindness anyway. He glanced at her, voice low. "You're safe now. My name's Kalen. I live a few blocks away. You need a doctor?" Naima tried to speak, but her throat trembled. All she could manage was a whisper. "Just somewhere to rest. Please." He nodded once. No questions, no judgment, just quiet understanding. The drive was short, but it felt like a lifetime. For the first time in months, Naima didn't feel like the CEO of Ellery Group. She just felt human, broken, and the silence between them wasn't heavy. It was healing. When they arrived, she expected some kind of polished house. Maybe it was one of those Good Samaritans from a movie, but the truth was simpler, humbler. A small, warm apartment tucked above a repair shop, smelling faintly of cinnamon and paint. A little girl, maybe 6 feet from behind the door, when he carried Naima inside. Her curls framed her round face, her pajamas covered in stars. "Daddy? Who's that?" Kalen smiled gently. "Someone who got caught in the rain. Sweetheart, go back to bed, okay?" But the girl, bright-eyed, curious, stepped closer. She reached out a tiny hand, offering Naima a stuffed bunny. "Here, Mommy used to say hugs make people better." Naima froze. Something about those words, Mommy used to say, cracked something deep inside her. She took the bunny, her fingers trembling. "Thank you," she whispered. That night, she slept on the couch, wrapped in a warm blanket, her swollen ankle propped on a pillow. Kalen checked on her once or twice, his daughter's laughter faintly echoing from the next room as she whispered bedtime stories to her bunny. For the first time in forever, Naima fell asleep not to silence, but to the sound of peace. When she woke, she expected the storm to have washed her world away. Instead, she found a tray on the coffee table, eggs, toast, and a handwritten note. Didn't want to wake you. Left some breakfast. I'll be in the shop downstairs if you need anything. Kaylin. Naima stared at the note for a long time. It wasn't just ink on paper. It was care. Unassuming. Real. She found him later, wiping grease off his hands. Focus on fixing an old sedan. The air smelled of oil and hard work. You're a mechanic? Naima asked. He nodded. Yeah, been running this place since I had to. He smiled, but it was a kind of smile that hides pain. Not much, but it keeps me and Maya fed. Naima leaned against the doorway, watching him work. His hands strong, steady, capable. The opposite of every man she'd known in boardrooms and luxury hotels. Something about the quiet rhythm of his work grounded her. No pretenses, no wealth, just honesty. In that small shop, surrounded by the hum of machines, Naima realized something she hadn't felt in years. Safety, not from money or walls or guards, but from presence. As the days passed, her body healed, but her heart didn't know what to do with the stillness. Every night, she watched Kalen read bedtime stories to his daughter, his voice full of warmth and patience. Every morning, he'd hand her coffee without a word, like it was the most natural thing in the world. He never asked who she was, never asked what she was running from, and that silence was mercy. But healing has a strange way of stirring old ghosts. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the man she'd run from, his rage, his threats, the way his love had turned into ownership. And part of her feared he'd find her. One evening, while she sat by the window with Maya drawn beside her, Naima caught sight of a reflection in the glass. Tired, pale, but peaceful. For the first time, she didn't see the CEO. She saw a woman still alive, and maybe, just maybe, ready to live again. But she had no idea. Her past was already catching up. Kalen's voice floated from the kitchen, deep, steady, familiar. He wasn't talking to her. He was talking to his daughter. Careful with the syrup, Maya. You'll drown the pancakes. Maya giggled, her voice a melody all its own. And in that laughter, Naima felt something in her chest unclench. She tried to stand, wincing from the sharp pull in her ankle. Kalen turned instantly, wiping his hands on a towel. You shouldn't be moving yet, he said softly, stepping closer. He wasn't smiling for effect. He wasn't scanning her like a transaction. He simply looked at her. Naima didn't remember the last time someone did that. She murmured, voice still cracked from the night before. I didn't mean to be trouble. Kalen shook his head. You're not. Everyone needs help sometimes. And maybe that was it, that one sentence. Because Naima had built her entire life around not needing help. She ran billion-dollar companies. She managed empires. But now, sitting in a stranger's living room, wearing borrowed clothes, she realized she'd never learned how to simply be cared for. Days passed quietly. Each morning began with the smell of brewed coffee and Maya's tiny feet padding through the hall. She watched Kalen fix things. Not just machines, but moments. When Maya spilled juice, he didn't shout. He smiled, cleaned up, said, we all make messes, baby. That's how we learn to clean them. That line stayed with Naima. Naima realized something painful. She'd lived her entire life earning love, performing perfection, proving she was enough. Miss Naima, why were you crying in the rain? Naima froze. Her throat tightened. I got lost, she whispered. Maya tilted her head, thinking, then smiled. It's okay. Daddy says everyone gets lost sometimes, but we always find home again. Tears filled Naima's eyes before she could stop them, because somehow the 6-year-old spoke truths no adult had ever dared to tell her. That night, when Kalen came home, he found Naima asleep on the couch, Maya's blanket over her shoulders, a tiny crayon drawing on her lap, 3 stick figures, Kalen, Maya, and her, a family. She didn't know Maya had drawn it, and Kalen didn't have the heart to move it. He just stood there, looking at the two of them, and for a moment, Something deep in him whispered, maybe the storm brought her here for a reason. But peace has a cruel way of testing you, because even as her heart began to mend, the past was still knocking. Sometimes she'd wake up in the middle of the night, hearing Jordan's voice echo in her dreams. "Naima, you're nothing without me." She'd sit up, gasping, sweat on her forehead, her fingers shaking as if still reaching for freedom. Kalen noticed, but he never pried. He just made her tea, sat beside her, and said quietly, "You don't have to talk about it, but you don't have to face it alone either." Kindness like that felt heavier than cruelty, because it asked for nothing, not even thanks. One afternoon, she followed him to his shop. The smell of oil, metal, and rain-soaked earth hit her senses. He was fixing a radio, a broken, old one that looked long dead. "Why not just throw it out?" she asked. Kalen smiled. "Because sometimes the wires just got tired of trying. Doesn't mean they're useless." Naima stood there quietly, and she thought of her heart. Days turned to weeks. She began helping Maya with her drawings, tidying the house, even cooking sometimes. Though Kalen teased her for burning the toast every single morning, the woman who once ordered chefs now laughed over a burnt piece of bread. And it didn't feel like failure. It felt like freedom. They didn't talk much at first, but silence with Kalen was never empty. It was a kind of silence that says, "You're safe here." He told her about losing his wife 3 years ago, how Maya was the reason he kept going. She told him almost nothing, but her eyes said what her lips couldn't. She'd lost something too, maybe herself. The more time passed, the more Naima began to feel again. Not the sharp kind of feeling that hurts, but the slow, quiet pulse that reminds you you're alive. One morning, she found herself humming while washing dishes. It startled her. She hadn't made music in months, hadn't smiled for no reason in years. And in that moment, she realized this home, small, warm, imperfect, was teaching her something she'd forgotten. Joy didn't have to be loud. Love didn't have to be grand. It just had to be real. Meanwhile, across the city, Jordan Miles stared at the empty side of his bed. Her perfume was gone. Her things were gone. His control was gone. And he didn't take kindly to losing. He made a call, find her, back in a little apartment. Naima didn't know her past was walking toward her again. She only knew that for the first time in years. She wasn't afraid of tomorrow. Kalen looked up, catching her gaze. "Come on," he said, holding out his hand. Naima shook her head, laughing. "I don't dance." "Then just sway." So she did. And for the first time, her body moved to something other than fear. It moved to music, to life. Maybe healing doesn't always look like therapy sessions or long talks. Sometimes it looks like burnt toast, silly dances, and a child's drawing that calls you family. Naima was wiping oil off the counter when her phone buzzed. A number she didn't recognize. She froze. For a second, she could hear the faint sound of breathing through the speaker. Then, a voice she never wanted to hear again. "Naima, did you really think you could disappear?" It was him, Jordan. Her hands trembled. The world tilted. She hung up before he could finish, heart pounding so hard she could barely breathe. Kalen saw her face, pale as moonlight. "Naima, what's wrong?" She shook her head, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Nothing. I'm fine." But she wasn't, and Kalen knew it. Fear is a cruel memory. Even when you think you've escaped it, it waits. Patient, familiar, and ready to whisper all your old lies. Jordan's voice echoed in her mind. "You belong to me, Naima." She gripped the windowsill until her knuckles turned white. Kalen came up behind her, gentle. "Who was on the phone?" Her voice cracked. "No one that matters anymore." But deep down, she knew the truth. The past wasn't gone. It was just late. The next morning, a sleek black car pulled up outside the shop. The kind of car that didn't belong in their quiet neighborhood. 2 men stepped out, suits, sunglasses, silence. They didn't buy anything. They just looked. Kalen wiped his hands on a rag and met their gaze. "Can I help you?" One smiled, just looking for someone. Kalen didn't say a word. but something in his chest tightened. Naima didn't notice the black car that rolled past her twice. She was humming softly, smiling at the thought of Maya's silly drawings on the fridge. But inside that car, Jordan Miles sat quietly, eyes cold, lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. "There you are," he murmured. Kaylin leaned on the railing beside her. "You ever gonna tell me what you're running from?" She hesitated, then whispered, "A man who called love ownership." Kaylin didn't ask for details. He didn't need to. He just said, "Well, he'll have to get through me first." Naima looked at him, really looked, and for the first time since the storm, she believed she might actually be safe. But safety has a cruel way of being tested. The shop door slammed open. "Jordan." The room froze. Naima's breath caught. Her bag fell to the floor. "Naima," Jordan said, voice smooth as oil. "So this is where you've been hiding." Kaylin stepped forward, wiping his hands calmly. "Who are you?" Jordan smirked. "Someone cleaning up what belongs to him." Naima's voice shook. "I don't belong to you, Jordan." He took a step closer, eyes dark. "You think you can walk away from everything I gave you? From me?" Kaylin moved between them, silent but steady, the kind of strength that didn't need to raise its voice. "You should leave." Jordan chuckled. "Or what? You'll fix me too?" Kaylin didn't move, didn't blink. Some things aren't worth fixing. He leaned close to Naima before walking out. "You'll regret this." When the door finally shut, Naima collapsed against the counter, shaking. Kaylin caught her, and for the first time, she didn't try to hide her tears. That night, she told him everything. The control, the threats, the years of fear behind her success. How running wasn't about fame. It was about survival. Kaylin listened, every word, not with pity, but with understanding. When she finished, he said softly, "You don't owe him your life, Naima. You never did." And somehow, those words broke something inside her, not her heart, but her chains. Naima sat at the table, watching Maya draw hearts on a napkin, and she realized something. Maybe her past wasn't done chasing her. But this time, she wasn't running alone. She looked at Kaylin, tired, kind, unshakable, and smiled. Maybe love wasn't about never being afraid. Maybe it was about having someone who stood beside you when fear came knocking. Jordan would come back. They both knew that. But for now, there was sunlight, and coffee, and laughter that didn't hurt. Even if it was temporary, she was going to hold on to it like breath. Because sometimes, survival itself is love. Sometimes, life gives you quiet moments before it tears them away. That night, Naima felt calm, the kind that feels like healing. Maya was asleep. Kaylin was closing up the shop. And for once, she believed the worst was behind her. But they had a plan, one that would destroy Jordan. Jordan, dressed in all black, rain dripping from his coat. Behind him, two men, bigger, colder. "Naima," he said softly, "you've made a mess I need to clean." She took a step back, heart hammering. "You can't be here." He raised his hand. "You've said enough." Outside, thunder rolled. Inside, fear returned, sharp and sudden. Before she could move, one of the men grabbed her arm. She fought, but they were stronger, her cries muffled under the sound of the storm. Kaylin locking up his shop nearby. He hears something, a muffled scream carried by the wind. He ran, through the rain, past the flickering streetlights, until he reached the cafe door, open, swinging. Inside, her phone on the ground, coffee spilled, chair overturned. Naima, gone. Kaylin stood there, drenched, his breath caught between panic and disbelief. Then his eyes landed on a piece of paper under the counter, a receipt, and written on it, in shaky ink, one word: help. Jordan circles her like a vulture. "You embarrass me, Naima. Do you know what the press says about me now? About us?" She doesn't answer. He slams a hand on the table. "I gave you everything. You were nothing before me." She lifts her chin, trembling but unbroken. "I was me before you. You just never saw it." Kaylin driving recklessly through the night, searching, calling police, hospitals, any lead. He was a man used to fixing things. But how do you fix losing someone who finally made you feel alive? Maya wakes up and finds her dad gone. She sees Naima's phone and the help note. It wasn't the first time Maya had seen fear, but this time it wasn't her dad's. It was Naima's, and she wasn't going to lose her, too. Jordan's anger cracked into something worse. Calm. You'll come back home after this. You'll perform. You'll do the interviews. And you'll forget this charity life you were playing. Naima's eyes glistened. You think love is control, Jordan, but you can't own someone who's no longer afraid of you. And that was the moment the twist began, the one no one saw coming, because Naima wasn't alone. Hidden in her sleeve, a tiny microphone, live streaming through her phone, connected to her fans. Every word, every threat, broadcasted, within minutes. The truth that once caged her became her weapon. Millions of fans, furious, crying, posting hashtag Free Naima, police alerted, reporters gathering. And Jordan's perfect world, beginning to crumble. How did you? Naima's voice was steady. You taught me to perform, Jordan. I just gave the best show of my life. Jordan tries to grab her one last time, but Naima pulls away hard, and this time she doesn't fall. She stands and watches him finally face the silence he gave her for years. Freedom doesn't always come from running. Sometimes it comes from finally standing still. Kalen bursts through the door, soaked, exhausted, shaking. He sees her sitting there, wrapped in a blanket, bruised but alive. When she looks up, their eyes meet. No words, just tears. He pulls her close. And in that quiet, the storm finally ends. But the story didn't end there. Because when Naima's fans demanded justice, they also demanded her truth, the one she'd been too afraid to tell. And when she finally stood on stage again, it wasn't to sell records. It was to reclaim her voice. She wasn't the same woman who ran into a storm that night. She was the woman who walked out of it and taught the world how to survive one.